Joan Collins has a sister, Jackie, who has become almost as rich and famous as Joan, writing books. But the titles you wouldn't believe. The World is Full of Married Men, The Bitch, The Stud. I recently asked her why she wrote such books.
I think to be successful, you have to write about what you know. And whether I'm lucky or unlucky enough to know a lot about Hollywood, I think it's what I like to write about. And Hollywood Wives is fiction, but of course it is based very much on fact.
Why did you throw in the word unlucky enough to know about Hollywood?
I said lucky or unlucky,
well,
depending on what way you look at it.
Well,
I think I'm very lucky,
okay.
because I have had a very exciting, interesting life, and I've been writing for 16 years.
Right.
And people, you know, they know that I'm not some little old lady in Des Moines writing about the Hollywood that I think exists. I'm actually out there in Hollywood doing a lot of research, forcing myself to go to parties and watch the movie stars at play.
Doing research, well, is certainly a provocative observation considering the subjects of your books.
Well, yeah, this is true, but I mean, there is life before marriage. So I think that you have to write about the things you know.
Well, okay, so really what you're saying, I think, is it's not so much fiction what you write about.
It's not really, but it is in a way, because people love identifying the characters in Hollywood Wives. It's been on the bestseller list for 8 months now, and I think one of the reasons is because originally people thought, well, another book about Hollywood, you know, we'll pick it up and maybe we'll have some fun with it.
Right.
But it's more than that. It's an inside look at Hollywood, and it's almost like the fictional version of Indecent Exposure, which was about the business side. And so, although you can't actually say, well, the aging movie star is Burt Reynolds, or the agent is Sue Mengers, they are based on people, real people, and they are composites.
Well,
they're very true.
Then, Jackie, if your books are really nonfiction in fictional disguise,
I have to say that,
well,
Joe.
no, but let's come on.
Right,
Who's
okay.
kidding who? Well, one must therefore conclude that Hollywood is a pretty sleazy place.
I don't think so. I love Hollywood.
Well,
no,
okay.
it's not sleazy. There's sleazy areas everywhere. I mean, I just saw Scarface. You want to talk about Miami? I mean, everywhere has its sleazy side.
Well, now the feminists are saying, and there's a movement afoot to stop what they call pornography. I'm not saying this is pornography, but I think the central message of what they're saying is all of these kinds of stories usually have women as the victim of men, and usually a sexual way.
I would never have a woman as a victim of a man. I mean, I write, a lot of people have compared me to Harold Robbins, and I love Harold Robbins. I think he writes great books. But my women are like Harold Robbins' men. My women are the ones that come out on top, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Of course.
And they have fun in their books, you know, I mean, in my books. The characters really get out there and do things, and I always have very strong women characters. If there's a woman in my book that is used, there is her counterpart who is not used, who uses men perhaps, or who tries to have an equal relationship with men. In a way, men read my books because they find them sexy, certainly not pornographic, because I think you take people so far and then their imagination takes over.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's the difference between sexy and pornographic in your mind?
Come on, there's a huge difference.
Well, tell me.
Well, if you describe a sexual act between two people and you take them to a certain point, but if you want to talk about pornography, you talk about people being used, you talk about people in magazines, you talk about the magazines that use women, you can talk about this rape case that's going on at the moment across the country. I mean, pornography is so different from good, clean, healthy sex, I think. I mean, I think you can have fun with sex. Why not? It's been around a long time, Joe.
Finally, we now come to what's usually mentioned about you, and that you're the sister of Joan Collins. Do you think they buy those books because of that fact?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, Joan has made her success in America in the last year on Dynasty, and I've been writing books for 16 years.
Now, is Joan or you anything like your fictionalized worlds that you both live in? She on television and you in your books?
I don't think so, no. I certainly don't write about myself. I write about other people. I love observing people. I love going to parties and watching.
Wait a minute. Some of these things that I understand are in this book, you couldn't observe unless you were at a peephole or something.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying I don't.
Oh, okay.
No, I have a great network of friends who tell me everything.
Really?
I have men friends who phone me up and they say, I was with these 3 girls in Miami, and they were triplets, and we went out on this boat, and then they tell me, they say, you must write about it, Jackie. And I say, I couldn't write about that.
Right.
Nobody would believe it.
Well, then you know much of the world that most people don't. What's your conclusion? Is the world a nasty, evil place?
The world is what you make it. Your life is what you make it. We have to have a kind of balance. And I also write, apart from writing strong women, I also write a very strong love story, because I think love is what makes the world go round. Right. I think what you've got to do is you've got to sit down and read Hollywood Wives. I think you might have a surprise. maybe you won't. Maybe you
Well,
will.
no, I see. I just wouldn't read a book like this because of the title. To me, it speaks everything that I don't like. It's
Well, you told me before that
opportunistic.
you don't read fiction, so that's why you
Generally,
wouldn't read it,
right.
not
Well, I do
really
read
because
some.
of the title.
But and I don't mean to sound like a snob or a goody two-shoes. I just think, no, really, I'm sincere.
No, I'm
it's
interested in
just
your
like
opinion.
Hollywood Wives seems like I could read serialized in the Midnight or the Inquirer, and who cares?
Well, I find that very interesting that you should say that, because I find the biggest critics I get are the people that have never read me.